say I love a big ego. I'm into this Aaron Rodgers, Max. I like it. Tell me, what does this say about him?
Well, he's right, first of all, but to me, it's a little defensive, actually. Like, Aaron Rodgers, of course, a so-called down year for you, and it was a down year. Not just like I know there are a lot of interdependent, variables in football, and receivers, and a new coach, and all different kinds of things. Your running game, your line protection, all different kinds of things can, if even your defense and how much you're on the field or not on the field, all different kinds of things can affect the play of any position, particularly the quarterback, who probably gets disproportional credit and blame for wins and losses, though Rodgers won 13 games. So, of course, Rodgers, until Patrick Mahomes came along, the best I've ever seen, an off year for him is a career year for most guys. That goes without saying. Like, would Michael Jordan ever sit there and say an off year for me? It's like, come on. Number one, he didn't have off years, and like, you're not expecting Rodgers in the middle of his prime to have off years like last year. And secondly, that goes without saying. It's like he's comparing himself to mere mortals. And the comparisons with Rodgers in any season of his career should be only to the greatest of all time. Because I know he's not as accomplished as Brady or Montana, and so you can't say he's as great as them. But with my own eyes, until I saw Patrick Mahomes, if someone said, who's the best you've ever seen, I'd say Rodgers. So what he said goes without saying, and it tells me that the criticism bothered him.
Well, it should bother him, and I don't have any problem with him being defensive whatsoever, because I think that the criticism that has been aimed in his direction has been entirely too extreme. He's a bad man. I'm the one that came up with that statement because I meant it from the very fiber of my being. He is that special. And think about 2018, because last year, even though we want to say it was a down year, 26 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, 4,000 yards passing, not the 4,400 from the previous year. What we have to remember is that he was playing with a new coach and what have you, trying to adjust to LaFleur and what LaFleur wanted to do. We get all of that. But in the end, they were 13-3, so there were modifications that needed to be made, sacrifices on his part that needed to be made, plus he was adjusting to a new coach. Fair enough. But if you look at the year before, that's when he was really crucified. This dude threw for 4,400 yards. 25 touchdowns, which was a career low for seasons where he's played at least 10 games. He's never thrown for, less than 25 touchdowns. So that was low, and plus he had only won 6 games. Everybody forgot he had a knee injury. He had a groin injury. He had a concussion, okay? Everybody forget all of that stuff. All of that stuff was going on throughout that year. The many years where he's had minimal help. He didn't always have Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb and those boys. There's been plenty of times where he hasn't had that. The archaic tendencies of Mike McCarthy. Even Mike McCarthy admitted that a year away from football has helped him tremendously because he needed to make some adjustments in how he approached the world of football. Now, he's doing his thing offensively with the Dallas Cowboys, but God knows he needs to get rid of Mike Nolan, that defensive coordinator, quick, fast, and in a hurry. You need to get rid of him now. But here's the reality. Aaron Rodgers is a bad brother. This dude, you can talk about Patrick Mahomes all you want to. Here's my point. Patrick Mahomes is here. We know what he is doing. But in the same breath, give Aaron Rodgers Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins and Clyde, Edwards-Helaire and Andy Reid calling plays with Eric Bieniemy. Give Aaron Rodgers that, and then tell me what is it that you see Patrick Mahomes do that Aaron Rodgers can't do. The brother is that lethal, and for people to go at him. Think about this, guys. We've seen stories where, his brother was the Bachelor, for crying out, and we're talking about Aaron Rodgers disrespectfully. The nerve, the unmitigated gall. Who the hell do you think you are? I guess you were trying to be known. Didn't work. You heard stuff about him and McCarthy. You didn't know what was true, what wasn't true. They've made up stuff about Aaron Rodgers. They've looked for everything. If Aaron Rodgers came to work with a turtleneck that was too high, that was a reason to complain, and a brother living in Wisconsin. This brother, it don't make any sense how people have come after him. But in the end, let me tell you something. We are going to miss this brother when he is gone. I understand Patrick Mahomes is here, but we are going to miss this brother when he is gone because Aaron Rodgers is so damn special. And the manner in which he has been treated I think has been utterly disrespectful. And the only thing I was disappointed about is that on Pat McAfee's podcast or whatever it was, Aaron Rodgers didn't sit up there and give somebody the middle finger, because everybody deserved it that has talked about this brother, because he's that special, period.
Well, a couple things. Number one, he doesn't have Patrick Mahomes' weapons, and he is not young like Patrick Mahomes. And as of this moment, he's had a better season. Like, his QBR is higher. He's undefeated, 2, and he's won 2 divisional games and beaten the Saints. And he's done it, as I really think, including Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes so far this season, the best quarterback in football. And his receivers, who are not what Mahomes' receivers are or what Russell Wilson's receivers are, aren't even available to him. So he has been amazing. But it is legitimate for people to wonder, when he game managed with a new coach to the tune of 13-3 and a playoff win against Russell Wilson's Seahawks, but did not look the same, but was missing throws, but didn't have all those miracle plays that we normally see him have. It's legitimate to ask out loud, is Rodgers slipping, or is it a new system? He has clearly shown it was a new system, but it's legitimate for people to ask.
No, I don't think it's legitimate, because if we recognize the fact that you got a new coach and you have a new system, and the guy throws 26 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions while passing for 4,000 yards, and the record is 13-3, and they in the NFC Championship game, to look at that as an excuse to question him is a bit ridiculous. And in terms of you, Max, in terms of what you said about Patrick Mahomes, here's my only issue. You talk about Patrick Mahomes, but then you say, I know you give Aaron Rodgers his props all the time, because you should, but you act like Aaron Rodgers can't do what we've seen Patrick Mahomes do, when in fact, if he had those weapons, you damn right, he's the one person who can do it, and has religiously shown he can do it.
Listen, though, I think those 2 quarterbacks, of every quarterback I've ever seen, to me, they're in a class by themselves. Not in terms of accomplishment, in terms of ability and what they can do on the field. Those 2 are different than anyone I've ever seen.
I'll leave you with this. Sometimes I look like a Tom Brady lover, Aaron Rodgers hater, but it's really just to mess with you guys. But honestly, I love this. Sometimes you got to flex on people. Sometimes you need your ego. He was hearing a lot of voices, and he's showing us he's still that dude. He owns a 92.8 QBR this season through the first 4 games. Best ever since the metric was created. Guys, the real deal. We'll leave it there. We got some NBA to dive into, fellas. LeBron showing us he's still got it, too. So there's LeBron, right? And then there's everybody else. But how big is that gap? Be right back with Perk and the fellas.
I got to fight the...